1. Me. Think that I wouldn't be able to count better than that, but never mind. I need to do a voiceover for the countdown, but I always like the countdown. I'm glad I'm bringing it back. I stopped it for a while. There's a real issue when you're multicasting on lots of different platforms that they all start at different points, and I was a bit concerned about that. I have been playing with my microphone. I know you're going to say, stop that, don't do that. So I do need to know if I'm too quiet or if I'm too poppy. I have got somewhere here, a pop filter to go on this, but I was hoping to get away without having to use it. Never mind, we'll see. So my name is Laurel Papworth. I'm multicast on Monday morning social media news across Facebook, Twitter/Periscope until they finish in March, and YouTube Live, LinkedIn Live, really anywhere that'll have me. Who knows? People getting blocked and banned left, right and centre today. I need to fix a few things in my InnoReader Feedly to see if I can make InnoReader like Feedly. If I can't, I have to let InnoReader go. That's my social media monitoring dashboard. Oh, yes, if you haven't been here before, it's social media news, but on Monday mornings, I fix my tech setup and you guys help me. Not at the moment. Oh, 2 people on. Okay. It takes a few minutes for people to be notified and to catch up. So if you hear or see anything funny, please let me know. And I catch up on social media news for myself because I don't have time to sit down and spend half an hour or so just catching up on everything. And Francis, I'm not being blocked, but I've got clients at the moment who've been massively blocked. There's been a big push through or change to the algorithm, and we don't know, and they haven't notified us, and it actually says everything is in good standing. So when you go to, for instance, on Facebook, if you go to facebook.com/account quality, you can check your business pages, your ad manager, and you can also check your pages on facebook.com/page name/quality. And no errors, nothing. But the notification came through that no ads could be done and that the account has a problem, but there's nothing listed as being the problem. So it's an algorithm change. It often happens and then it will fix itself, but it just means that those clients are not receiving their income that they are used to relying on from their ads and their campaigns on the socials. So it's a pain in the ass. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we have a chat going. There you go. You can leave me a question and I'll read it. Maybe if I see it. I get a bit caught up in everything. So first thing I'm going to do today is there has to be a way of bringing in Twitter news into InnoReader. If there's not, InnoReader's useless to me because Twitter's one of the main platforms. Thanks, Donald Trump. It wasn't. I actually took it out of my university course in 2015, I think, and said Twitter's dying, and it was. And then Donald Trump happened. So let's switch to here. Yeah, I agree. There's no transparency at all on why you're blocked, and I don't know. What can I say? We can talk about that in a moment. I just want to fix the Twitter thing. So on Feedly, this is the free account on Feedly. I have two. I teach on the free account so that students don't have to pay straight away. There's like 2 rules on social media. One is obey everything I say without question. And the second, joking, sort of, the second one is don't pay for things until you've tried the freemium version, the free version, before you go to the premium version. You need to see if it works for you. Don't take free trials. That won't work. Free trials for a start aren't long enough. You need to test something for more than an MAU, a monthly active user, or 1 month. And most free trials for a week or 2 weeks or at most a month. So just as you're expecting to see the changes kick in, they can it for you. So you have to pay to see if it works past a month. We don't want to do that. So on Feedly, I can bring in Twitter news. And right, okay. So if you don't know what Twitter news is, it's their blog, I guess. It's not tweets. So I don't want the tweets. I want the blogs. And InnoReader told me it wasn't possible, but Feedly can do it on their free version, so I don't understand. So I'm just going to try it one more time because I feel kind of bad. So if I go to official companies, these are official social media companies. But it's there. No, that's the media blog. That's weird. Okay. I'm just going to... I have to persevere with this. There's nothing like being super stubborn and kind of interested in geeky, techie stuff. So it says it doesn't have an RSS feed. You have to create one. Feed 3. That one. So I'm paying for the version of InnoReader that creates RSS feeds. So why does Feedly do it for free and easily? And this isn't like fetch RSS. This isn't an RSS burner. This is going to the page and pulling it in. And InnoReader expects me to use up one of my RSS generators. You only get a certain number of them. I don't think it's as technically advanced as Feedly. Maybe that's the issue with InnoReader. So anyway, what to expect on Twitter on US Inauguration Day. I want to talk a little bit about... I made a boo-boo. I gave Twitter quite a lot of criticism for killing off Periscope. And, want to point out that the current soon-to-be ex-president used Periscope and they ended up blocking his Periscope videos. So it's not that it's not being used or people aren't seeing it. And so I was super confused. Why is it when live streaming is taking off? As people become more comfortable with Zoom, live streaming is the thing. I'm working with politicians that are doing live streaming of town halls, and they're upping their game from doing a bit of a Facebook Live to, multicasting and studios and all kinds of things. And then companies are doing the same thing. People are getting used to delivering a message like us online. Why did Twitter kill off Periscope? What a bad idea. It's just because they didn't market it doesn't mean it's a bad idea. And look at everybody else. And YouTube's doing well and LinkedIn's doing well and Facebook's doing well. Why isn't Twitter? And then I went back to a core thing in the algorithms. And I kind of actually have to thank a client for this because I was explaining it to a client. And then I went, oh, that's why. There are two main story types that the algorithm sees. And the visual story type and the text story type. And the visual story type likes videos and photos and are very drawn to Instagrammy, Pinteresty type sites. The other type of story type is the text story type who likes headlines, text, and I think there's a subset in there which I call engineers who like dot points, but they don't want to watch a video on how to cook something. They want the dot points in the recipe. They don't want to watch a video on how to code something. They want the text. And then for journalists and editors and authors, they don't want a video explaining something. They want to be able to read and scan articles. Lawyers, accountants, and academic researchers are also text story types. And I've gone through this 50 million times. And if you watched last week's targeting audiences for government, you would have seen me go through those story types. Please let me know if I'm too quiet. I'm trying to keep an eye on the meters and multitask and everything, and I'm a bit crap at it. So there's the two story types, and the Twitter story type is text. So even though you can put up images on Twitter, and even though it does pull in the thumbnail for videos and it does pull in the thumbnail for articles, the classical personality type on Twitter is a reading story type, a text story type. They would rather go to the Washington Post, the Guardian, whoever, and read the article than watch a video on it. That's not to say that the platforms don't mix it up a little bit. Like on Instagram, you could potentially be an author or a newspaper, and the same with TikTok. But, you know, with the Washington Post on TikTok, the videos are very, very different than their website, which is for readers. One of the reasons why we do mixed media is so that people can watch the video explanation of something and then they can also read it. So I need to take it back what I said about Periscope. It is entirely possible that Periscope or live video for Twitter is not a thing, because they are not like Facebook, which attracts both entities. The Facebook algorithm definitely splits the two out. That's what the head of the data research for Facebook said. They split people into the two groups and then give them the content in the format that they want. Twitter's is going to be more or less text story types, I'm pretty sure. What to expect on Twitter on US Inauguration Day? I like the fact they publish the whole blog, not just the headlines. This isn't a way of driving people back to a website. This is a way of getting information out. Let me know if I'm in the way. I'm just looking up on my screen. I don't think I am. Protecting the public conversation. Watching the inauguration live. So they are going to live stream. I think that when Periscope's gone, Twitter live stream kicks in, but it's going to be authorized only or curated or something. Transferring of the transition of the Twitter accounts, including all the suspended ones like @POTUS. Goodness me. What's POTUS doing now? Oh, it's been reinstated, has it? Nope, nothing since the 24th of, since Christmas Eve for POTUS. Okay, so they're going to transfer current institutional accounts to the National Archives. This has been a huge criticism of Twitter, is that everybody who'd embedded tweets for important discussions, so for instance, newspapers that embedded tweets to show different points of view or something, those tweets were no longer available. So we lost a historic record. And the National Archives' job is actually to archive this stuff. Interestingly, in Australia, my blog is one of the archived blogs for our National Archives. Happened years ago, they listed it. So they get archived as POTUS 45. Oh, and you can go to POTUS 44 to see the previous administration's tweets. Real-time stuff, okay. All right, so the blocking and unblocking, and I will say this is important. These institutional accounts will not automatically retain the followers from the prior administration. People on Twitter who previously followed institutional White House Twitter accounts or who currently follow Biden or Harris will receive in-app alerts prompting them to refollow on the other accounts. Why is this important? Because when there's a change of party, you inherit trolls. They don't mean to be trolls. They just don't agree with you, and therefore you're going to call them trolls, and they're going to get more and more incensed and more irate by what they see in their feed. So it is important to have a clean database, recognizing that those people will still follow. I mean, it's the account itself is critically important for communication of government policy, all of these accounts. Let's not underestimate that. In fact, I want to just talk about that to a certain extent. Let me hide me. So Twitter played a pivotal role in the Arab Spring protests, amounting to more than 2 million tweets a day. And this is a research paper. It played an essential role in developing the national identity. Plays an essential role in developing the national identity of any country, especially in the Arab world. Well, not only in the Arab world, as we saw last week. A media revolution is contributing to the presence of a reawakened regional Arab awareness. The wave of mass protests and things like that. I would suggest that Twitter, and I am not a fan of Trump, I am a fan of equal level playing grounds, equal status. Why is it that Twitter did good in supporting the riots and the mass protests in the Arab Spring versus Twitter's blocking and shutting down any protest of people who are not happy with the current situation? Because not everybody is part of the lunatic fringe on either side. Again, don't like right-wing politics, not a follower of Trump, but understand that there are deeper issues here. For a start, if you're going to shut him up 4 years ago. Don't leave it to the week before he leaves. If you have any thoughts about Twitter and their politics, it's probably interesting to go to opensecrets.org, which looks at the donors and where they donate money. So Jack Dorsey is the CEO of Twitter, and he's donated money to the Democrats. And then if I go to Twitter, the organization, we can see a couple of million, no, less than 2 million, I think, in the last 4 years have been donated to the Democrats and 200,000 to the Republicans. So, yeah, that's my issue. This is my issue. Why is the money there? Get lost with the money. Why do politics have this kind of money? Anyway, not making a political statement. I kind of am, but I'm trying really hard not to. This PAX thing is weird. Have you come across PAX before? It's political activist, something or the other. Does anybody know what it stands for? Political action committees. So sometimes it's unions, and sometimes I think probably the National Rifle people would be a PAC. Is that true? If you're American, you know what a PAC is, please let me know. Worth considering. Worth considering the difference between how Twitter and Facebook were so useful in helping with the Arab Spring, but not so useful with other things. Oh, with the London riots, the government shut down or attempted to shut down Twitter during the riots by blocking it. And then Twitter was also being used to help the safe house. So people were saying, I think it's open door, that people can come and have safety at their house. And they were also using Twitter to self-organize food and help for the fire brigades and the police and the military. And they were taking, it's very British, cups of tea and slices of cake to the organizations who were helping to settle down the riots. So Twitter itself is a platform. It's like the telephone. Like, I don't hold Telstra responsible if somebody rings me and is abusive on the phone. I do wonder about donations and resources and things like that going through to one side of politics or the other. That's, I guess, all I'm saying. And that, like everything, it can be used for good and bad. Not good or bad, but good and bad. So everything's being handed over. That's good to know. Thanks, Twitter. Communication and historical communication is safe in your hands and the National Archive. Back to work. Facebook newsroom. Combating scraping by malicious browser extensions. Is this of data? I reckon it is. Yeah, user profiles and other data. Web for Instagram plus DM, blue messenger, emoji keyboard, and green messenger were malicious and contained hidden computer code that functioned like spyware. Yeah, you can only use spyware if you use Facebook's Pixel and then Google's Pixel and Amazon's Pixel that track everything that you do and then go through their systems. It's supposed to anonymize the data, but of course, students have shown that you can re-engineer it, under-engineer it, what's it called? Reverse engineer it, that's it. And I think they took 20 minutes to reverse engineer anonymized data. I'm not saying don't block them, I'm saying level playing field, people. Let's look at Australia. There's only been 2 posts since the last time we looked, which was December. New Year's resolutions, please. Give me a break. What's your New Year's? My New Year's resolution is to do what I always do. I've always taken the approach you have to be agile, accept what comes. I'm an optimist though. So I accept what comes and then I adapt. Like I'm Pivot Patworth. I don't know. Pivot, the word of the year. And then how tough it is for business. They do these posts a lot. So such a lot of Facebook app are used just about, we support business by our ads. Really, that's what they're doing. They're doing a content tip of the funnel. And the content is, oh, it's tough for business and blah, blah, blah. And let's do love local. And that's content marketing. And then that leads to promotion marketing, which is buy ads. Let's have a look at the journalism project. 3 days ago. Fact-checking fellowship. That could be interesting if anybody's interested in it. Local Media Foundation and Crosstown on a pilot program to empower smaller and mid-sized newsrooms to access and transform data into high-impact local journalism. This is right up my alley. Let's get me out of here so you can read it. I'm in a number of journalist groups, particularly small media, like small newspapers, country newspapers, that sort of thing, groups. And they don't understand the disintermediation of media that social media offers, which means you have access to the same data tools that you would not have been able to afford 10 years ago. You would not have been able to do the kind of surveys and analysis. You wouldn't have had the readership to get a good cross-section to understand the mood of the community and what the community will read. Now, a lot of journalists that I've spoken to very proud of the fact they don't care about that, that they are very happy to simply research something with no fear or favor and publish it whether people like it or not. It's like, take your medicine. But there are others, grown-ups within the community, that understand you can deliver those medicine. Definitely they should be front page, but there needs to be other content, or people just feel like they're being smacked over the head all the time. And if you've ever crossed the floor from journalism into PR, you know what I'm talking about. If it bleeds, it leads, and negative news suddenly has to become the most positive thing on the planet for that organization that you're now doing PR for. So the fact that small media can use the tools from the Facebook Journalism Project, from media.facebook.com, is that what it's called? No, it's not. All right, I've got it here. I'm an idiot. Where is it? It's Media Twitter. Where's Media? That's the Facebook Journalism one. I have it bookmarked, so it should come up. There it is, FB Media. And their website is... No, they've just put the Facebook Media one in. Anyway, they have a number of websites. And if you ask me nicely, I'll put it in the links below, that you can pull into your, you can pull into your social media monitoring dashboards. I'm not sure you can do it with InnoReader. I'm pretty sure I use Feedly for it, but I haven't set it up here. And they have specific websites specifically for journalists, explaining tools. There's a whole section on hashtags. They've got free online courses. There's a whole bunch of things specifically for journalism. So it's well worth keeping an eye on these. And that's kind of what I'm doing, is I just flick through. I'm looking for the courses when they come out. I'm looking for other work on how they're working with journalists. Never believe that Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn steal articles. They're working hard to work with heritage media to make sure that old style media evolves and changes to survive. And don't forget, social distribution of articles is the way that, the top Instagrammers became top Instagrammers and top YouTubers became top YouTubers. So if new media, social media, Insta media can do it, so can old media. What are we up to? 11:16. It's nearly half an hour. Is it? 28 minutes, yes. A couple more things here. Let's see what Google Australia is having to tell us. Nothing. Almost certainly just it's over the Christmas period. Let's have a look and see what social media dashboards are offering in the way of tools. 10 unique ways to use Instagram guides for marketing. Hootsuite, you've only done 2 posts since December. Let me just see what media is talking about. Why Microsoft Teams is so much better than Zoom and Slack for collaboration. No. Well, I don't know. I tried Skype the other day. It was a shocker. Absolutely shocking. And when you've been using Zoom for a while, you're spoiled. And I tested Skype and it's still screwed up. One of the things I discovered is that over a year ago, they turned off virtual cameras. So that ability to have multiple cameras and multiple mics, run it all through a vision switching box, turn the vision switching box into a virtual camera, and then run that through Skype wasn't available. I had to go and download a version from over a year ago, which probably means that it's not secure, but they said they deliberately turned it off. So the ability for me to do this and this, and this. That was all gone. I think it's fine if you just want to sit there and have a little meeting. But if you don't, then I don't know. What are we going to do? Facebook was going to compete with Google for some advertising sales, but backed away from the plan after the companies cut a preferential deal, according to court documents. I remember Mark Zuckerberg saying he was going to take on... I don't suppose that works. Oh, yeah, it does. Crikey, I'm even better than I thought I was. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, we'll do that one. I have to log in. I have got an account, but I'm not going to log in. And I can look it up somewhere else. It's the court. It's the official court details that I want to see anyway. But Mark Zuckerberg said, we are going to take on Google for search. And I don't know if you remember the advanced search area. Advanced search, Facebook. You could search for people by their town. Facebook advanced. I think search is back might have been one. And you can, there was more than this. You could, do posts and timing of posts, and there was a lot of data. And now you have to use a third-party tool to do advanced searches. So I remember you could do restaurant near me, Thai food, friends recommendations or something, and it would come up with Thai restaurants that your friends had recommended that were near you. A lot of that stuff got taken away. I don't know what works now. Near me. Restaurant. Do you use this part of search? Yeah, they're kind of near me. Pretty sure he isn't. And then there's a firewood place near me. That's not what I'm looking for. So there are some things you can search for, but it used to be much, much, much more sophisticated search. And Zook went after Google for search. And I could definitely see that as working. And backed off. So I need to go and read those court documents. I think that they're pretty critical. I always take both sides of an argument. You may have noticed that. So although I deeply disagree with Facebook having to pay media to bring readers to media, I can understand some of the arguments. I think a lot of the arguments, particularly if you don't understand AMP or any of those kind of services, then it becomes problematic. I don't want to go into it now. I've ranted and raved about that one enough. But when Facebook could take on Google and then colludes, is that what they're alleging? They colluded? That they're two monopolies that have split up the landscape between them? What is shocking with Google is they don't have access to the psychographics that Facebook does. So Facebook has all the data, what your hobbies are, where you eat, how often you go to the gym, you have a health and fitness profile, you have all kinds of, the algorithm has 80,000 data points on you. Google, when I checked my psychographic, thought that I was a young Mao, and I suspect because it's where I'm always looking for cheats in World of Warcraft. So I Google, how to kill some boss in World of Warcraft, and Google goes, oh, must be a young Mao. And I don't know if you know that, but you can go and check your psychographic profile on Google and see why you're getting certain ads, and they say who they think you are. Google needs to step up its psychographic aim. I did hear news, I think I mentioned it in one of our news broadcasts recently, that Google was now building out its whole, they're called core audiences profiles. So just like Facebook's core audience and social graph work, then Google's looking to do the same thing. And so they should, because Google ads will suffer. Why? It does explain why I get stuff thrown at me that young guys like. And it must be very confusing because I do watch makeup videos on YouTube. So poor old Google. All right. We went through the news. I've got a little list of things for me to research further. So thank you for joining me on that. I am going to look up those court documents on any potential collusion between Facebook and Google to split up the search. It's really, I don't want to call it search because that sounds like SEO and very technical. Let's call it discoverability. How people discover products and services and activism and things like that, and how they don't see it. What gets curated out of their news feeds. And we need to keep an eye on that, because absolutely cancel culture is something to be aware of. And I mentioned at the beginning that clients left, right and centre are having their pages, personal profiles, pages, ad accounts suspended. And then when we go to account quality, there are no errors. There's no cancelled ads. There's no warnings. There's nothing. And so I want to know why there isn't more transparency in that algorithm. If you're setting out to break the terms and conditions, you know, we bought ads in good faith. We put up content in good faith. There is a contract between us. Don't make us look guilty before we even know what we're guilty of. And I genuinely don't know, and I've seen most things. Like, for instance, I've seen, and I'm waffling now, but this is being confused with a cleavage, and this is a nipple. That's just the algorithm. But normally you can get someone to look at that and then they fix the ban. But yes, corporates can have their own cancel culture in so many different ways. We should do a whole session on that because I've got so many stories. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you found this useful, interesting, or at least some background patter while you're doing other things. And on Thursday, I've got a 1-hour tutorial from 1 till 2, a lecture, sorry, not a tutorial. And it's for government and ministers of parliament, senators, local government officials on how to correctly boost a post on social media and not just chucking down a few bucks on one every so often. We're going to look at a whole bunch of things that you can do to optimize that. So, yeah, I'm going to have to love you and leave you. I've got some Zoom sessions this afternoon. I think the technical setup worked. I still feel like that mic's a bit quiet. I'm looking at the things. Not sure. We'll see. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you Thursday or next Monday for social media news.